Pozdrav svima i dobrodošli u novu epizodu podcasta Fitness, Business i Mindset. Danas imam posebnog gosta Marka di Salva iz Yorka. Znači ja sam Marka upoznao prije nekih 10 godina, imali smo istog mentora Steva Maxwella i kad sam bio tamo radio u tenisu, upoznali smo se, on je radio osobne treninge i na kraju otvorio jednu dvoranu, manju, veću i dogodilo se to da ima sportaša natjecatelja u hrvanju, to je Hrvačicu, koja nastupa ovdje na svjetskom prvenstvu u Zagrebu i došao je u Hrvatsku, moj gost je u dvorani i gost je ovdje u podcastu. So, welcome, Mark. I've just explained in Croatian language a few informations about you.
Thank you.
So the first question is, what is bringing you to Croatia? Do you like Croatia? Then I have some other question, how you start with the business and everything.
Absolutely. Well, you had me worried for a minute because the Croatian, I said, oh, I thought this was in English. But no, so thank you for having me. It's really great to be here. So I'm just arrived in Croatia a few days ago because I'm here for the UWW World Wrestling Championships. We have an athlete that we've been training for a few years now at the gym in New York, and this is the second World Championship that we'll have done with her. And it was in Croatia this year.
So good.
Yeah, so
great place. They choose a great place.
Right, it is. It's wonderful. And then when they told me it was Croatia this year, I thought to myself, I need to go because I knew you were here and I wanted to come see you. And a lot of your coaches over the years have been in and out of contact with me, and they've come to visit me in New York. So I really wanted to come for this. So I kind of put it in the back of my head that I'll go because I don't always go with athletes, but I don't usually, in fact. But
also your fiance is coming with you, so it's different.
It's different, yes. She's with me, and she's been doing the weight cut. So she works nutrition at my gym, and she's the head of sports nutrition. So I've kind of gotten out of doing all the weight management for all weight class sports, and she handles that now. So I work just with the training now.
Yeah, so you need to have a team because
Absolutely.
If you work with top level athletes, then you need to have somebody for nutrition and for some other things.
Absolutely.
Can you tell me more about you? Where are you from? How you choose to be a fitness coach and strength and conditioning coach? You told me you were playing ice hockey. So a little bit about that. And I know when I met you a long time ago, you were doing like private training, semi-private trainings. After that, you open your facility. So tell me something about your path from the beginning.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the origin story.
Origin story, yeah.
Yeah, so I was born in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. We were just talking before the podcast. It's big Steelers town, big football town. So, you grow up there, and if you're into sports, you kind of get pushed into football or you get pushed into ice hockey. And there's obviously other sports, but those were the big ones. And I just kind of fell in love with ice hockey from the moment my dad turned on the TV and the Penguins were playing. And I was just kind of mesmerized and thought, well, what is that? That's so cool. My dad was a very good football player. He played in high school. He was a very good quarterback. He was a two-way player, so he played quarterback and he played safety on defense. Nice. He went to college to play safety, and that was where his career ended. But when I was younger, he would teach me how to run routes in the backyard because the quarterback has to tell the receiver. Yeah. So I learned a lot about how to play that position, the wide receiver position, from him. But I only just liked doing it with him. I just like to go in the backyard and throw the football, but I never really wanted to play. And hockey I fell in love with. And so I started playing young. And I played all the way up through my teenage years. But I really loved the weight room because so I kind of fell in love with it. So as you get older and everyone gets better, you start to look for an edge, or you think like, okay, how could I be a better hockey player? And when I don't remember how old I was quite young, but I was with my mom, and in the United States, there's like gyms and public rec facilities in every town called YMCA.
I know. I was there.
Yeah. So they're very, they can be very nice, or they can be very old and not much going on there. And so she was going to a class, and she was taking me, I think, to the babysitter. And we walked past the weight room, I remember, and I thinking like, oh, that looks really cool. And then I don't remember the exact time frame, but sometime later, she took me to this athletic club that opened in our neighborhood in Pittsburgh. It was brand new, and it was gorgeous. And they had a giant weight room, racquetball courts, basketball courts, track and field, like inside, kind of like your gym, like very big. And I asked her like right away if I could go and lift. I think I was about 12 years old.
Oh, nice.
And
you started young.
I started young, yeah. If only I had strength genetics, because I started lifting so young. But they wouldn't let kids at the time lift. So my mom figured out a way to have one of the trainers work with me, so I could go on the gym floor.
So you had a personal coach when you were
exactly. When I was 12, and he was a natural bodybuilder. So actually, I should put it out because I've been trying to find him for years. I don't know where he is. His name's Tim, and he worked at Oxford Athletic Club. So if someone hears this, around 2000, like 1999, 2000.
So he had an influence on you.
Yes.
Become a coach one day.
Definitely. He was very awesome guy, very nice, taught me a lot about it was bodybuilding style training.
But it's a basic, basic movements and
how to use the machines. Yeah, exactly. Basic movements. But he definitely would take me onto the track and teach me different drills and things like that. So he knew some of these things.
So you were doing like some marching drills or some skips and something.
Yeah. I don't remember it being as sophisticated as it is now. Like I was watching some of the guys at your gym do all different drills. And,
but the time changed, now it's more maybe science in the sport, so more technology, more methodology.
Yes.
So a little bit.
Yeah, so it's very it was a great experience. And then I'll spare the fine details, but we started moving a lot because of my dad's job in the years to follow. But the one constant was the gym. So I couldn't play hockey everywhere. But I could always find a gym.
Yes,
and so I would always really enjoy that. And in the back of my head, all through the end of high school and college, I thought maybe there's a way to make a career in this. Maybe I'd want to do this. And I tried some different things when I was in college. And when I graduated, it was the financial crisis. So no one was hiring.
2008.
Yeah. So I graduated 2 years after in 2010. But the ripple effect was big. And I tried I always liked music and technology and kind of like studios like this. So I had a job at a studio kind of like this for a little while, right out of college. And
what did you finish in college? What was your
journalism and history?
Journalism and history. I was thinking about applied kinesiology, sports science or something.
Yes, I had to work extra hard to learn all of that because I didn't in college. But you know what journalism was good for, I would say. You have to learn how to evaluate sources, and you have to learn how to figure out what's BS and what's good, and interview people and go find information. Yeah. So all those skills I learned.
Public relations, maybe emotional intelligence, how to talk with people.
Exactly.
But it's very important for our job, If you want to be a good coach, you need to connect with the people.
Absolutely. Sometimes you'd walk into class, and the professor would come in and say, okay, you have an hour. There was a big snowstorm today. I need you to go find a police officer and ask him if he had to do anything special today about to prep for the snow. And if you're not back in an hour with 200 words written, you fail. So you had to go do these things. So you think on your feet. Yeah. So that kind of prep was really good for me. And it wasn't comfortable, but that's kind of coaching sometimes. People come in and you have this plan, and then they say, my Achilles hurts or my elbow hurts. Well, if you're doing a bench press and med ball throws and the elbow hurts, like you can't do that day. You're going to have to figure it out very quickly.
To find a solution.
Yeah. So, So that was college. And then after that, I got into personal training when I realized I didn't.
But where you were living in New York at that time?
I had moved to New York, yeah. So I went to college in Boston.
First, where you were living, where?
Pittsburgh.
Then?
And then we moved around a lot when I was a kid. So Memphis, Arizona. So these are many different states.
What's the best city? New York for you? Or some other? Or what is the best state for you? Or
Well, for me, I love New York.
You like New York?
I love New York. It's
New York City,
in New York City. It's really become my home.
Manhattan.
Manhattan, yes.
When somebody is talking about New York, I'm always imagining just Manhattan.
Yeah.
I'm not thinking about everything
Yeah,
else.
yeah,
It's
no,
Manhattan.
definitely no. So Manhattan and Brooklyn. I live in Brooklyn. I spend most of my time in Manhattan or Brooklyn. I'm very proud to be from Pittsburgh. Like, if you ever go there, I recommend, if you're listening, that you go. If you haven't, it's a beautiful city. The people are great. They're big sports fans. The best food you'll have, and that's saying something coming from New York.
Yeah.
But there's a work ethic in that city. It was an old steel city. It's where a lot of the union movements came from in the U.S. People work hard there, and they're very proud to work hard. And that was instilled in us young. Yeah. And so I feel very at home there. I still love to go visit, even though I think New York is my adult home.
Yeah, because the New York has this energy. When I was first time, I was like 6 or 7 times in New York. First time when I was there, I was like, okay, the buildings and everything, Empire State Building, and the main square and everything is good. But the energy, the city is living all the time. You know, you feel that energy. So for me, that was great, because if you are doing some business or you're doing some fitnesses all the time, you move faster. In comparison to some other, because when I go to New York, it's New York. It's not United States, because I went to Cincinnati, I went to Miami. It's totally different. So New York is really something special. Yeah,
absolutely. Things move very quick. Yeah, in New York, like you said. I don't know. And you asked earlier about how I got into opening a gym and whatnot. I'm not so sure I would have been able to open it as quickly in New York as I would have somewhere else, because. When that sounds funny, because New York's expensive, there's a lot of bureaucracy, there's a lot of things to work around, but people hustle and things move quick there. So I was able to, meet some really great people who taught. But
first you start doing private training in some commercial gym?
Yes. So I started, so after all the stuff immediately out of college, I didn't really like. After that, I got a job at a gym in Manhattan. I got certified. Basically, actually, first they hired me to work at the front desk and clean toilets and things like that. And they said that they would help me pay for my certification if I wanted to become a trainer.
What certification you finished?
Oh, this was the first one I did. I've done a lot, but this was NCSF, I think. I later got my CSCS, and that's what I keep up with now.
From NSCA,
but they helped me with that. It wasn't very difficult. I studied for a few months, took the test, and then they put me on the floor to become a trainer. And it was funny because there was really no prep. They just said, "Here you go." And I remember the first day they put me with a guy that was not much older than me, and I think had just gotten out of the Army. So he was ready to work hard. And I was thinking let me see how you move first. And he didn't like that. And so I had to learn quickly how to talk to people and create buy-in. But so I was at that commercial gym for about
what was the name of the gym?
It's called Blink Fitness. They're still around in the US.
It's like a chain.
It's a chain, yeah. And so it was really good because it's very cheap and the sessions are 30 minutes.
30 minutes.
And so you get to see a lot of people. So if you're not experienced, it's a great way to get experience. So I had colleagues and friends that kind of started training around the time I did. And within a year, I had seen probably twice the amount of clients that they had.
Just because it was not 60 minutes, it was 40 minutes. But also your model of training need to be different.
Correct.
The warm-up, the main part, the cool-down.
That's why
you need to be fast. We need strength. We need high-intensity interval training to put everything and to see what is good for the person. So that you need to think fast.
Yes,
you don't have time to see, how you're moving, what's good, what's bad. You need to go hard if you want the results.
Right. And it's funny that you say that, because one thing I learned doing that was that you don't need a million exercises. You need to be really good at teaching 5 or 6. And so because of that time constraint, a lot of it was me figuring out what are the 3 or 4 exercises we're going to do that day. And my palette of exercises was probably 8 at the most. And, of course we did other things, but I really learned how to really teach a hinge or a deadlift RDL. I learned how to really teach someone how to do a pull-up, really.
For how long you were working there?
I worked there for about a year and almost about a year and a half. And in that time, I realized that I really liked doing this and I wanted to do this. And I was kind of good at it, that I figured that, you're not really that good when you're a year and a half into it, but you know if you have a knack for it or not.
Yeah, you had this, like Martin Rooney says, aha moment. Moment. Yes, I would like to be a coach.
Right, exactly. But the economics weren't very good. Like I knew what they charged, what I made, how much I had to work, and I tried to work as many hours as I could, but I wasn't really making enough money to live in New York because they weren't paying very well. So I went and got a job that was more with my degree for about a year and a half. And I said, I'm going to save up money and I'm going to open my own gym. So
you just go from this to opening.
Oh, yeah. No. So I went from that commercial gym. I took another job working with guys who do video like this. And I did all the managing that they needed to. So I was training clients in the morning and the evening. I'd go to work from 9 to 5, and then I'd go. So
you're in some other commercial gyms you were working, or you were working in the same gym?
The same one, and then and because it's New York, I would also go see clients in their apartment gyms. So sometimes in the morning I would go to that gym, I'd go to work, like my desk job, and then that evening I would go to train clients at their apartment gym.
So you were working like 15 hours per day.
It was a lot, yeah. And then I was training jiu-jitsu too. So
you start to train there?
Yeah, I started training jiu-jitsu when I had the desk job because I had always wanted to, and I just didn't have the money before that. So once I had the money to do it, I did it. And it was a lot of work. But I had a goal. I had a certain number in mind that I needed to save up in that time. And once I hit that number, I said, okay, I'm going to quit the desk job and I'm going to do full-time training on my own.
First, congratulations, you were very brave, because lots of coaches, they work like for 10 years and they are still afraid to open something,
Yeah.
And you were like, after 1 year, you said, okay, I go all in. I'm going to open a gym in New York.
Yeah.
It's not easy. So this is a good move, but very, very brave move.
Yeah, it was tough. I mean, I was intent on doing it, but it was nerve-wracking, obviously. It took a little longer than a year. It took about a year and 8 months, I would say. So,
how did you choose the place in New York City where to because it's not the same if you are in this part or.
So my first, I knew that I couldn't afford to take on a big lease. I couldn't because I didn't have enough clients. I had clients all over town, and they wouldn't commute to all one spot. So I would lose a lot. So I needed to be in an area where there were a lot of people, but I also needed to kind of keep my rent down.
Yeah.
So I actually had a friend who was a trainer, and she was a bit older than me, at least 10 years older than me. And she said to me, I actually think, she said, if I were you, I would go and find people who are more interested in training how you train. Like, don't go to anything too commercial. Like,
that's good advice.
Yeah, she said, look, she goes, maybe talk to physical therapists, talk to anyone but bodybuilders and gym goers, and see maybe they have space somewhere. And so I started talking to physical therapists, and somebody introduced me to this physical therapist near Wall Street.
Near Wall Street. I was there because when I was coaching this guy from tennis, he was living there. So
very cool. Yeah.
Every time I was there, it's a good part of the.
It is. It's great, and it's close to Brooklyn, which was great for me. And so his name's Dr. Peter Wong. Him and I are great friends to this day. He has a clinic still in Wall Street, or near Wall Street, and he had just opened his clinic. It was very small. It was like a little bigger than, maybe twice the size of this room. And he said, I'll rent you space inside of here, because he knew he wasn't using it all day. And he said, you can market it like the Salvo Performance Training, which was the company I started.
Great,
And so he gave me a very good, like, low rate. And he was very flexible too, based on how much I used it. So that's where I started it. So that was big. I would recommend that to
how big was the gym? How many?
Man, we work in square feet. I don't know about square meters, but in square feet.
You can tell in feet, yeah.
In the square feet, I would say the whole place was probably about 1,000, maybe less. Honestly, it was maybe like 750 square feet. I would often go in early in the morning. I put up a rack in the gym. Had some kettlebells. We put out some jiu-jitsu mats so you could do stuff on the floor. He had his table and a desk, and so I would be there early in the morning. He'd come in a little later. I'd come back for lunch. We kind of just would trade off, and sometimes we worked in there together.
But most of the time you were working 1-on-1 or 1-on-2 or 1-on-4?
It was a 1-on-1 entirely, because it was small. So he was working with someone, I was working with someone.
So you couldn't do it like 1-on-2 because it was too crowded,
I would occasionally on the weekends, on Saturday mornings, take in guys from jiu-jitsu or from MMA or any like combat sports, and sometimes I take like 2 or 3 of them, and we would work because there wouldn't be any patients there from the PT. So, but it was very overwhelmingly 1-on-1. Yeah. So it was
so good.
Yeah. It was.
How many clients did you have in that time?
I don't really know, honestly. I was probably working hours per day. I was probably seeing at least once things got going about 6 hours, like 6 clients a day, as many as 8. And by the time I was doing 6 to 8 hours in clients a day, and that's a lot when you're doing 1-on-1.
But most of them were recreational people, ordinary people, or did you have athletes in that time?
It was a mix of both. It was more probably about 2/3 recreational, 1/3 were athletes, and they were all combat athletes. So there were no one who was an athlete was there who wasn't involved in combat sports. And then the first athlete that came in, ironically, who was a non-jiu-jitsu, technically, he had started as a skier, downhill skier, and then he got into jiu-jitsu. So that around that time was mostly recreational, like general population. It was people who might be in a PT clinic as well, done with PT, and then
so you get the clients by recommendation mostly.
So early on it was a lot of word of mouth recommendation, and it was pulling people from jiu-jitsu too. It's like people who knew that I was doing this and they were interested in getting in better shape. And
are you still practicing in this same jiu-jitsu school?
At that time, no. I'm at a different one from that period of my life, but I'm very close with them still. Actually, a lot of interesting opportunities came out of that place and good friendships.
What's your belt now?
I'm a purple belt. Yeah.
You're preparing for more?
Yeah, hopefully. You just kind of keep going at it. But I mostly just enjoy really doing it. I obviously have a goal of becoming a black belt. But I'm very realistic about the time it takes, because when you're a coach, I would love to be there 5 days a week, but
it's hard.
I know in my brain, if I end up training more jiu-jitsu, it'll take my focus off of the gym.
You need to sacrifice.
You need to segment a little bit. I admire people who can do it all, but I sometimes question if they really are doing it all.
But it's also a problem if you have family, if your business is growing, then it's hard to you can have good time management, but it's hard.
Exactly.
Because
no
you need to sleep, you need to eat, you need to to do some education. So far, how long you were there with this doctor?
I was there for almost 4 years. So I was from May of 2015 until May of 2019. So towards the end of that 4 years, we were both getting really busy. And it became very clear that we were probably going to have to either get a bigger place together or go our separate ways, because we both were getting
But did he had some assistance, or he was doing on his own?
He had usually PT aides and these kind of things, just one at a time usually. And sometimes there was another PT in there as well. So he was getting busy, there were it was a physical therapy clinic after all.
But he had some machines?
No machines. It was just his treatment table, kettlebells, a few, not even that many dumbbells.
So he didn't has like some magnets, some lasers, or some different kind of
he had like
Indiba, or I don't know. So.
He did a lot of Graston. He did a lot of massage, manual work. He's a really great manual therapist.
So it's more like manual therapy.
Yeah, and he was also doing a lot of like floor exercises with people, calisthenics. But he got them lifting too, because we had barbells there, and it was getting people into that stuff. And so he got very busy. I was getting busy, and I started looking for a lease. And this is right before this is about a year before COVID. So it was interesting because COVID changed everything in New York City. So before COVID, the real estate availability for businesses, commercial real estate was not great. Like you would have to pay a lot of money. The small spaces people didn't want to rent small spaces. They wanted to rent big spaces.
Yeah, of course.
So I had to look very far and wide. And eventually we found this place in Chelsea. It's right near Madison Square Garden. And it's where I am today.
Yeah, so near the Chelsea Pier where I was coaching.
Yeah. So I've always said, when Marino comes back, I have a gym now. I have a gym for
better
him.
Facility. Yeah.
And so I opened that, and we did great right away because it was almost all of our clients came with us. Because if you know New York City geography, Wall Street's at the very bottom of Manhattan.
Yeah.
Chelsea is like kind of almost midtown. So asking people to come up and to a very different location is not easy. I don't know how people are here in Zagreb, but
it's smaller, but it's also a problem. People from one part, if you want to go to another, it's like 30 minutes of driving. For Croatia, it's a big. It's like 1 hour in New York, so people they don't like to lose the time.
Right,
so
exactly.
It's like training and 1 hour of driving plus training, so you have like 2.5 hours.
Right. So I was very grateful that people were willing to come with me. And the good thing is where we're at in Chelsea is a transit hub. So it actually, for some people, was easier because you have all the major railroads that come
With subway you can come on.
Yeah, many different subways. And so we opened there and we did very well.
How big is now?
So it started, that place started at about 950 square feet, which felt huge coming from the other place because we got about 30% more. And then 2 summers ago, we took out a wall and took over more space in the same building. So now we're at, I would say, I think officially we're at 2,000 or so, which is a lot for New York. Yeah.
But if you have double, it will be good, huh?
Yeah, I will. Yeah, you'll always take more space.
Double is perfect. Yeah.
I would think, at some point we are probably going to have to expand again just because of how I have more trainers working for me now. I have a lot more going on at the gym. We'll probably need some more floor space. We've worked with the layout a lot to make sure it can fit people without people getting in each other's way.
But now you're doing also one-on-one, or you have like some other.
We do a lot of semi-private now. Yeah. We do one-on-one still as the main, but we also do 1 to 2, occasionally 1 to 3. But that's like where I would max it. On the weekends, we do some classes that are a little bigger, so it can be up to 6. Yeah. But our core competency is still 1-to-1, 1 to 2. Yeah.
What's some prices of the trainings one-on-one in New York, just to compare with Croatia?
For me or for more in general?
Or general from ratio.
Yeah, so I would say on the low end of one-on-one training, like for a trainer who might be a little bit newer but still educated, you're probably should think that you're going to pay at least 125 USD. Per training. Okay. And then if you're going to be in someone more modestly experienced, 150 to 160, 65. And then for people with more experience, 200 an hour and over. Okay. Yeah, it's like 200 probably minimum for, somebody who has, many years education.
And good CV and
exactly.
And good results.
So like the result or the price can vary quite a bit, but I would say any cheaper than that low end, you have to ask some questions if you're a consumer there, like about, the experience level, make sure if you're dealing with somebody who's very new, and, what you should expect out of them. Because I think there's a lot of young trainers who
of course,
absolutely,
like you also started from here, now you are here, so everybody needs to start from somewhere.
Absolutely.
One question about the clients. In New York, are people more interested in strength training, or like the thing that you are doing, like you are taking strength training and health, everything together, you're trying to learn people to make them better, or people like more like high intensity training? So what's because when I was there, it was like Orange Fitness, Berry Bootcamp, all high intensity. It was lots of CrossFit. I went to Union Square, CrossFit, to this, to that. So what is like a trend, or what is the thing that people in New York like, just to compare with Croatia and some other?
I think people, the marketing of fitness in New York has really taken a a hard shift towards strength training, which is great. I mean, it's great for us because we really know strength training. You know, two of my trainers are accomplished and very strong and good powerlifters, or were, and have a lot of training in it. My kind of pet interest and where I've spent a lot of time is in strength and teaching, you know, squat, bench, deadlift the right way, and everything that goes into that. So the trend has really gone towards strength, but it's kind of a little shallow because I think people are looking to they use it as marketing, because sometimes I watch it and I'm like, okay, they're lifting weights. It's not necessarily, it's strength training in a classic sense, but it's not necessarily what I think of with strength. Because in the United States, a big trend right now is strength and muscle being tied to aging well and longevity.
So it's like longevity,
So that's why people are interested in it. And that's a good reason to be interested in it. But I think, you know, there's still a interest in high intensity.
So it's more like trend now, anti-aging and longevity.
Yes, that's definitely, I would say, the biggest, the most popular outcome that people want out of training.
What about bodybuilding? Because I can see that lots of people in the state TRT therapy, and they want to look good shredded when they are 50, and they take different things, not just the training.
Bodybuilding is very interesting because I really credit Gen Z and a lot of the younger guys, the guys and girls that have come along, and they really are the ones that are into bodybuilding. If you go on social media, they're the ones that post the videos, and they take the fashion from the 80s and the early 90s. I think they've really popularized it. And then obviously, for older clients and athletes or ex-athletes and trainees, they might be on hormone replacement therapy, and they're just, they want to look shredded. They want to look big. They want to keep enjoying working out the way they did when they were teenagers or in their 20s.
But do you think it's more like towards longevity? It's like more like health fitness?
In New York City, absolutely. That's definitely, there's a lot of clinics that have opened up that are really into sauna, ice bath. You know, another reason that's a trend right now too is because a lot less people drink now in the United States. Like the numbers of people that drink alcohol are like dwindling every year. Yeah,
because in New York it was like after the work, it was like when I was walking, like all the bars, everything. It's like, you know, like a tradition. You work a lot, you party a lot, and
work hard, party hard. So now, absolutely, that's not necessarily gone away, but you do see that there are a lot less young people in bars, and now they still want to go hang out somewhere. So there's large, almost, it's funny, like European, like Eastern European style bathhouses in New York, but
I didn't know that.
They're opening a lot of these up, and you know, they have bars or they have restaurants. They're co-ed, so men and women can hang out and talk. People meet people there. So that's a big trend too. That's I think it's bigger than just fitness. I think it's the lack of interest in people drinking alcohol.
So it's more like fitness together with wellness and some other things. But what about this this franchise like Orange Fitness, Berry Bootcamp, or CrossFit? Is in United States, is that going down or it's going up? What's your opinion?
I think that they're.
Or are you staying the same?
I look at them like good businesses, because this is what I see is that the general population still really likes that stuff. And I think those businesses have figured out that that's who they should market to. Because I get people who are clients at my gym and they come and work out and they understand the value in what we do. They understand the value of one-on-one, but they travel a lot and they know that when they're gone, they don't have a lot of time to train. So they're very happy to pop into Barry's and
drop in.
And I think that that's great. I think that works for them. I wouldn't recommend that my athletes do it. Some of them do sometimes because they're wives or husbands.
Good energy. And,
or they just want to go and hang out. And sometimes they'll do that. And like I said, I don't always love it for the athletes, but for everyday just people who want to just train, that's what I notice is they use it supplementary, and it still seems like a good business and a good something that people are doing, but it's not the new shiny thing. So people don't talk about it the way that they probably did when you were there.
When
like,
I was there, it was like I was just waiting. Like it was 10 people in front of me. I just tried to find a few questions about the system, and I was like waiting 20 minutes just to enter and to talk with the coaches to get information. I was like, what's happening? It was so crowded. It was like, come on.
Absolutely. And there's still a lot of that because for better and for worse, I would say, and I can only speak most intelligently to New York City, people really like convenience, and it's very easy to come in and out of those kind of businesses, and that's why I think they still exist. So if you can make people sweat, make them feel decent for an hour or so, and then get them out, they're happy because it only took an hour, and they're willing to pay a lot for that, way more than I would ever think that people would pay for classes, but they do. And it's I do think it's a good business for that if we're talking purely business. I think sometimes too, you know, these companies have been around for a while, and you have to really, once you're in business for a while, think about how you stay in business. And so you have to find your customers, and I think they've done a good job of that.
Business side is good. When you are looking as a coach, you like have a different approach. Like you said, you had a different thinking about the strength training. Can you share with us what is strength training for you? What is the methods, and what you think about the strength training for ordinary people and for the athletes?
Well, I think for everybody, strength training should you should approach strength with the same mentality, because it's the quality that all other athletic qualities are built on, and it takes the longest to develop. And you're only going to be able to develop it if you can stay in the game. So if you're getting hurt all the time through too much high intensity, or you're doing things that are counterproductive to that strength training, you're probably not ever going to see how strong you could be, because you're going to be hurt and you won't be able to train. Injury is the number one thing that kills people's progress. It's besides not doing it, besides not showing up, injury will be the number one reason. And so strength training, if you're doing it right, it's something that you should think about on a much longer term basis than most people do.
So it's like progressive overload training, something like that.
Right. And there's many ways to achieve progressive overload. It's not just linear, which a lot of people think about. Like
linear periodization. Right.
That works when you're a beginner, and it will work for a time. But for some people, that time runs out in a matter of weeks, and for some people, that time runs out in maybe a year or two. But that style can work. There's so many different ways to progress somebody, but it is a progressive overload mentality, and sort of that's what you're trying to achieve. But you also, along the way, unless you're very gifted naturally, you're going to probably move in ways that don't work like so conducively to maybe having a good squat or a good bench or a pull-up or whatever it is. And you're going to have to work on those weaknesses. You're going to have to work on getting stronger. You're going to have to work on making sure that those weaknesses don't get in the way. And when you are able to overcome those things, that's when you get better at the movement. So I always look at the big movements in some ways like sport in some ways, or it's like this aspirational thing. And in no sport does anybody, or they shouldn't at least, that their practice should not involve just playing games or scrimmages all the time. They don't do it in hockey. I can speak intelligently to hockey. You're doing all kinds of puck drills, skating drills, edge work, speed drills. You scrimmage sometimes, but if you're playing in the NHL, it's an 82-game season. So you're not playing scrimmages during the season, not really. You're working on drills, and then that you see how it applies to a game. And I think people treat lifting sometimes as too, like, especially powerlifters, like modern powerlifters, we'll use them for an example. Like, they only want to do squat, bench, deadlift. They don't want to do accessories. They don't want to do like GHDs, reverse hypers, all these things.
Sleds.
Yeah. But in reality, that's how you get better at that movement. Now, don't get me wrong. There's a longer discussion to have there about the practice. But if you're just a general person trying to get stronger and you really like the gym and you really love to squat, for example, you're going to need to do all the things that go into a squat. So, for example, I was training at your gym before I came here, and I've been sitting a lot, and I don't usually sit this much. So, like, I was on the plane coming here, 9 hours plus. I was on a tour in Slovenia yesterday, sitting on a bus, and I went to squat today, and I just could not get into my posterior. Like, I couldn't feel, like, no matter how much warming up I did. So it affected how
You're stiffed a little bit.
Yeah, and it just, I know when I'm sitting on my ass that it's just like it's off. I'm gonna have trouble getting into it. And I didn't have my best squats today, but I know why. So afterwards, I went and I said, okay, I'm gonna just work the heck out of my posterior. I did a lot of back extensions, hamstring curls, like body weight reverse hypers. I did all kinds of mobility drills on the ground. I felt way better after that, and that's kind of how you have to approach the big lifts and your strength, because if you keep bringing up all the component parts that make you better at a squat, your squat's going to get better. It cannot not get better. But if you keep trying to push and push on a squat, it's not working, you're not getting any better at it, you're actually just going to go backwards. And they call that accommodation. And accommodation can happen even when you're good at it. So that's why in my gym, we use a lot of variety, but a lot of variety of the main movements. And we use a lot, and we really focus on bringing up the weak points in athletes and clients. Because
so do you under influence of Westside Barber and Louis Simmons? Because he was the first who put like this.
Right.
GPP.
Right. Exactly. And, but he realized what we were talking about just now is that I have these people who are so strong that if I just keep pushing them on that main lift, they're not getting stronger.
Yeah, they come to plateau and they stop. Yeah.
I have to do other things with them. And that's what he came to the conclusion of. And he treated them like athletes. And I think a lot of strength athletes, for example, they don't always think of themselves like athletes. They just want to practice the sport. They're like a hockey player that scrimmages all the time, or a soccer player, football, like that just plays games. I mean,
what about power? Because when I was listening to Kevin Carr and Mike Boyle, they had like some scientific researchers that when you with the age, first thing that you lose is power.
Absolutely.
Ballistic plyometrics. So they are putting in their program a lot of box jump or some other things, because no matter you are 60 or you have some limitation, you can still do some jumps. Not high intensity plyometric, but you can still do it.
Right.
So they are doing in the beginning of every class the throwing the medicine ball jumping. So what's your thinking about the power training? How you do power training with your ordinary people?
Yeah, so I do a lot of power training, but we basically will separate it, and this is where the other influence of the conjugate kind of Westside Barbell and moreover Matt Wenning, I'll give him a lot of credit. He's a good friend of mine, and he came from that gym and has since gone on to do many great things in training. Is you have days where you're dedicated to strength, and you have days where you're dedicated to more dynamic work or rep work, and you don't mix them. So in other words,
so you're separating.
Yeah, so we basically make sure that when people come in, we know what they're doing that day, that they're either there to really push hard and lift heavy, or they're there to be more explosive, and explosiveness also pairs well with conditioning, mobility, and these other things. So we typically separate the two. There are times, like you're probably familiar with things like French contrast training. We might go a little ahead. That's usually more for the athletes, but we will mix sometimes. But even then, the rep ranges and the weight really dictate what's max effort. So for example, if I'm having someone lift very heavy, it's like, well, it's very heavy for them, but maybe on a day where we're doing more explosive stuff and we do French contrast training, it might seem like that person's lifting a lot, but for them, it's actually not that much. And then they can go and do the verticals or box jumps that they need.
You can combine together.
Yeah, I'm very big into, but for general pops, so like to answer your question directly, I like to think of power in terms of vectors, like which direction are you going? So I like to make sure I have things where people are going vertical and then horizontal. So we'll do broad jumps and all variations of broad jumps for the horizontal. We'll do things more vertical, squat jumps, box jumps. I like box jumps a lot, but the thing I don't like about box jumps is there's no eccentric, because you jump and you get all the concentric, so you get that explosion. But power, to me, we actually spend a lot more time.
You need to have impact. Yeah, you want to have impact. But the Mike Ball was he want to protect the back and the knees, and then if you're older, you jump on the soft box. But it makes sense that you want to jump to have like some plyometric effect or this eccentric part. Yeah,
because we recently in the past few months have brought in the Hawken dynamic force plates to the
Yeah.
gym, and we put all general population and athletes on them and test them periodically. And one thing I saw was that it's like looking under the hood of a car.
Mhm.
Like, you know, if you're a good coach, like what you're seeing and what that person needs to work on, but it just gives you so many metrics that actually give you deeper insights to that specific person. So one thing I noticed, especially with wrestlers, the whole reason I'm here in Croatia, is that some wrestlers, especially when they're kind of in their developmental phase, so they're high school and college, some are very explosive, but they have no breaks. So in other words, they're not necessarily as strong as they are explosive, and that's a recipe for injury.
Yes,
We need to really work on slowing that person down. So I don't like box jumps for someone like that, because I want them to learn to catch themselves. We'll start with slow eccentrics, like even just, a bench press coming down slow. And then, I might want them to do landings. They might just do depth jumps, like off of a box, and I don't even need them to jump. I just need them to jump off of a box. And then,
it makes sense. Are you using isometric a lot?
I use some isometrics here and there. Yes, I usually use them right after someone's injured, or when we are starting a new training phase, or and this is something I've worked a lot the last year with a lot of people who are more like ground-based athletes, so endurance athletes, like marathoners and these things. We do a lot more
overcoming isometrics, or
both overcoming and yielding. Yeah. And so I'll give credit to our mutual friend, Steve Maxwell there, who turned me on to a lot of those many years ago. But the isometrics are really good, because especially if you're experiencing a lot of like ground contact over a long period of time, you need to sometimes work on every little part of that range of motion through the ankle and the foot and the calf.
You can take different angles. In some angles you are stronger, in some angles you're not. You're not so strong. Probably you read the Black Book of Training Secrets of Christian Thibodeau. So he's talking about these angles, because actually when we do isometric, we just choose one angle, but we need to choose more angles.
Right.
What about the endurance training? You do high intensity interval trainings, or maybe you do some cardio trainings, because now it starts to begin very popular zone 2, aerobic training. So what's your opinion about that? Are you doing like some time intervals, like 40 seconds on, 20 seconds off, or what is or you do maybe some power endurance combination of different exercises? What's your idea, or what you prefer when you're doing with the recreational people or the
kind of all of the above, but I will do a lot. Keep in mind the athletes I'll work the most with are combat athletes, so they're going to be doing a lot of endurance training just from their training. So we have to be mindful of that. So the first thing I like to do is actually have them wear heart rate monitors. They have to. Like, you can't do endurance training to me without a heart rate monitor, unless you're doing something on an assault bike, but that's another, but we still
you can use watts.
But what we'll do oftentimes is, especially with combat athletes, I want to know what their strong zones are, like I want a better picture of their gas tank. So I'll have them wear heart rate monitors, sometimes when they're training in their sport, but also I'll have them come to the gym, and I like to have them do a few things. You asked a few questions, so I'll try to make sure I answer all of them. So a lot of times athletes that struggle with, we'll start with the whole zone 2 sort of craze. Zone 2, I think, is interesting, because if you have somebody, we'll start with like general population people, like you want them to be in zone 2 for activities they should be in zone 2 for. It's not the end all be all of training. It just means that if I'm like power walking with you to a coffee shop, or we're walking like at a brisk pace, you probably should be able to still maintain zone 2. If that person's in zone 4, they're probably not in shape. So they
don't have capacity.
They don't have the capacity. So I often want to make sure that, athletes usually don't have that problem, but like general population, we want to make sure that the things that should be zone 2 are zone 2. Beyond that, I live in New York City, where people walk everywhere. I'm sure people walk more in Zagreb than other places, but
in New York you walk a lot.
Yes,
I was walking a lot.
Yes, we walk a lot. So if I try to get a log of people's step counts, because we can do that with all the phones and everything. Like my watch keeps steps. So once I have an idea of people's steps and how much they move, I know if we need to advise zone 2. So zone 2 also is something I would use for athletes who are more advanced in their sport, who maybe spend a lot of time at like very high heart rates, just to even out things a little bit. Because you have to have a base. Like I always use the pyramid analogy. You need to have a base before you can build.
Of course.
Typically, though, most of the better athletes will have that base. But, you know, if you spend a long season, I have a friend that is an NHL strength coach. And it's like if you spend a long time in these high heart rates all season long, and you might not be doing as much zone 2 work, by the end of the season, they don't need to be, you know, your heart is a muscle. And if it is working in those very high zones at those very high heart rates consistently, there is hypertrophy that occurs within the heart. There is adaptation there. And that's very good for putting out power consistently over long periods of time.
Yeah.
But also, you know, there is there are documented potential health detriments of that.
Yes, of course.
So you do want to make sure that you even things out a little bit with things like zone 2.
Yeah.
So I do take that into account. We want to see where people's general health is. You can do that as simply as seeing their steps per day over the course of 10, 20, 30 days. And then also too, you have to always ask more questions. And this is why, you know, I know you've asked me about how many people we train, like 1-to-1, 1-to-2, 1-to-3. This is why I've kept it that way, because everything is very individual. Like advice changes, and I'm very good at working with people one-on-one. I think my effectiveness would be very like kneecapped and not as good if I had too many people. Like we could get the bell curve, but I wouldn't be able to necessarily pick up on as much as these individualities, you know? So I think like that's how we'll do that. Oftentimes a lot of our training with endurance though, in my gym, it involves the sled or it involves the assault bike. So the assault bike I use quite simply for the conditioning the very high heart rates and seeing how well people stay at high heart rates. Because in a sport like wrestling, the rounds are short and the heart rates are going to be very high. And I want to know, can you hold it together? Like how higher does your heart rate go? And can you continue to put out power in watts? When
you want to do some kind of metabolic conditioning.
Yes, we want, exactly. So, and then the other thing I like to work on is people's ability to recover. So we'll often use the sled for time intervals. So we'll work, a favorite of mine to evaluate people is 1-to-1 work-rest ratio. And then based on how that person is doing with their resting and recovery of their heart rate, we alter the rate. We alter the time work versus time rest. Can't give all the secrets away, but I will tell you that's basically what we're doing. And
you have a system, you know. Maybe somebody is doing a little bit different, but I think the basic things are the same.
Yes, absolutely.
And also when you are using a assault bike or sled, you are protecting the joints and everything, because if you are in the sport that you are running a lot and then you run again, it's a problem, especially if you have some fighters and they have 100 kilos or more.
Right.
For them, maybe it's better assault bike and sleds than to run 5K or something like that.
Right. And I mean, not to get too heady or intense with it too, but over the summer we were at the Altus Speed Summit and we were talking with coaches from all over the world about all different sports. And we were having a lot of private conversations too. And, you know, people were sharing with me privately certain data about different sports, about how well some of that power and specifically like power translated or did not translate from, say, a track to the sport specifically. So, you know, we want to be general, but I don't need to do a bunch of sprint drills with like hockey players. I need to do a bunch of sprint drills with jiu-jitsu more specifically, because they're just, you know, jiu-jitsu, so much of it's on your back, you know, that kind of thing. Yeah. So to your point, it is way better in many regards to have somebody use the sleds and assault bikes. And I think sleds have a very interesting application to combat sports.
Yes.
It's that whole vector concept.
Yeah.
It's the vector concept.
The biggest bang for your bucks. The next question is about the motivation with your clients. So it's like you are coaching people, and you said you have a client there for years coming to a place and practice. What's your opinion? How much is like in percentages important motivation, and how much is like the results, the training knowledge? So, for example, coach needs to know this thing about the strength and about everything about endurance, but also you need to motivate people to connect with somebody, because you're doing great training, everything is good, but people like discipline. It's maybe sometimes this training is hard. I don't know. I don't want to eat broccoli. It's hard, because especially when you're doing transformations. So what's your thinking about motivation? How you achieve for people to come to your training?
Yeah,
that's because that's very, very important also for the athletes and also for the ordinary people, because if you practice 3 times per week, it's not easy. You have family obligation, business problems there, and then after that, I come to Mark, and then I'm
right. Exactly. Well, I will say the one thing I really liked about your book specifically was that you even address that. A lot of people don't even address that, and it's such an important thing. Is that I think the unsexy answer is you need to have both. You need to have the knowledge as a coach, and you need to be able to motivate and help people create discipline in their lives. And you also have to be someone that people want to come see and work with. And it's everyone's going to have different strengths and weaknesses. Like if they're really great technical coaches, but they're not one for personality, that's common. And then also it's very common to have people who are excellent human beings, but just not necessarily technically proficient at coaching. And I would say that, if I was to generalize, I think it's more important early on in your relationship with a client or an athlete to make sure that you are personable and that you
likable, and some bonding.
Create that, so go out of your way rather than work too hard at the technical early. Really work on bonding. You can't force it though. They'll know right away. And I remember when Charles Poliquin was still alive, he used to say something. No, he was a tough guy.
Yeah, he was a tough guy, but genius.
He was. And you know what? I got to spend some time with him. The athletes and the clients who were with him, even though he was hard, he could be a real jerk sometimes. They loved him. They owed everything to him, and they never had anything bad to say about him. And the athletes, maybe other coaches don't like him, but the athletes always loved him. And he always said, relationships are built at the speed of trust. So you have to work on building trust with someone like you would with any relationship. And that always sticks with me. That there's sometimes an athlete comes in and I have high hopes for them and all these things I want, but I can tell that they're a little reticent. And Charles's voice always pops in my head. Relationships are built at the speed of trust. And it's like, you can't be like that with friends or dates, or anyone in your life. Like you have to spend time to get to know the person, understand how they work, what they like, what they don't like. But at the same time, you have to know what you're doing, because if someone can smell on you that you just are a fraud or that you really don't know what you're doing, it's in you. It's just like that. You can't separate it, and the person will know, even if they don't know power percentages and
like you said, speed of trust. But now they have still like Poliquin Institute. Is there still certifications, or?
I'm not an expert on like where they're at right now.
Because I saw something Poliquin Group, Poliquin Institute, but it's not the same because he's not alive.
One of his old students bought the rights to it and is doing something with it. I don't know exactly what. I don't know exactly where things stand. A lot of his good former students, I think they stand, some of them more than others, stand on their own in terms of just how good they are. And, they kind of have really evolved from, it's funny when you study someone's systems, and that's what I've always loved to do, is I like to study people's systems. You can tell where someone came from. And I almost always can tell. And sometimes I'll ask the coaches, like, hey, did you study early in your career with Charles Poliquin? Just because of the way they write a program. Or Mike Boyle, you can see it. You can say, oh, did you like intern Mike Boyle? And I'm usually right.
They have signature.
Or did you or were you a conjugate power lifter? Were you like, like XYZ? And I love to study people's systems, because I don't think you really learn things unless you really try to wrap your brain around how that person did that thing exactly. And then you can take your own flavor. But to read a book and then just try to put your own flavor on something,
It's hard.
it's hard. You're not going to do it. But I think to the motivation point in your original question, I think that you really have to focus early on building the relationship. And then honestly, it's on an ongoing basis. You have to continue building the relationship. Like, you have to, one of the telltale signs of a trainer, in my experience, as an administrator and like a manager of like in a business now, that somebody doesn't really have long-term training chops, is if their clients leave after a certain amount of time because they don't have the skills to continue them.
Of course, yeah.
And that could be 3 months. It could even be a year.
Yeah.
Because it actually, when I knew I was onto something in my career, because early in my career, clients, and this was like my first year, they'd leave after 3 months. Because in your first year, you just don't have the skills. But then after about 3 or 4 years, people were staying on for a year-ish, and then they might kind of fall away. But then by the time I was in about somewhere in the middle, like year 5 and 6, people started staying a long time. And then, like now I have clients I have one client's been with me for 9 years, it's like, so it's like when you start seeing people on for multiple years, then you know that
you're on the right way.
Yeah, you're on doing the right. Because I didn't really, but I spent so much time reading and asking and going to seminars and trying to think about how to help this one person with this thing. That, and if you're doing that as a coach, I think you will have good results. Like your clients and your people want to stick around. Sometimes I think really well-intentioned coaches and trainers, they obviously want to do a good job, but they're very hard on themselves. And I was this way too. And they think that they don't know enough or they don't, whatever.
Of course, you need to ask yourself some questions. Am I doing right? Can I do better?
Absolutely.
What are now the coaches that you follow? Do you have some names that for you think they are the best in the business that you are following, that you are listening to advices on the Instagram, Facebook, or did you went to some seminars? So can you give us some names that you are interested in?
I would say I try to avoid too much social media and Instagram because I think,
of course,
you
hear good things, but also you hear some crap.
It's good for a lot, and good people can be on those mediums.
Yeah.
But I think it's one gripe I have is that I don't think you learn anything in small bites. I think you have to go and travel, and you have to go and talk to coaches. You have to go like train with them. You have to go to seminars. You have to read books. You have to do all these things. You can't just do it on like short Dr. Mike videos about, even though I like Dr. Mike quite a bit. You can't just watch like these quick, like 90-second or 30-second, 20-second videos and expect to learn. But I think to answer the question more directly, like I like people who do those things. So
walk the talk.
What's that?
Walk the talk.
Yeah, exactly. Walk the walk, talk the talk. All that stuff. So I have really recently gotten back into, and it shows you how good and timeless it is, a lot of Mike Boyle's work. I think, if I'm not incorrect, that they recently did a new edition of his book, and I bought it for all the trainers in my gym, and I've read through it twice already, just because I thought it was organized so much more cleanly. The progressions are excellent. I love watching his videos. I love listening to the things he has to say about.
Yeah, his system is very good, and it's safe, and progressions, regression, and lots of things that make sense. If he's doing like Bulgarian squat, he's not doing like a back squat for the most of recreational people.
Right.
How to do progression and everything. So it's very, very good.
Yes.
They have a system.
Right. Absolutely. So I love reading his stuff. And he's, speaking of what we said before, has so many people who have learned from him, and like that coaching tree of trainers that I enjoy when I come across someone who learned from him and see what they're doing now.
Yeah.
So I'll do that. I also like to read about things I don't know a lot about. I like to because it challenges the way I think about things. So we mentioned power training before.
But you like powerlifting, huh?
Yeah, I do. It's like a pet interest. I like it, even though I don't really powerlift.
But you like the methods and everything around the powerlifting.
I do, because I think the good ones are the ones, they're the best at the basics, And I think that you never can get so good at those basics. So I'll give Matt Wenning is someone who I continually learn a lot from, just as a friend and you know, like colleague mentor type of way. I really love. So a good example of someone who I do like watching on Instagram because they don't necessarily have a lot of things that they write. I've been very interested, and we've gotten into hockey more the last year or so, which has been fun for me as a sport I've always loved. I really like watching what Gary Roberts, he was a former NHL player, what he does with his athletes because he has a gym in Toronto and they put out a lot of really great information. I really like John Chainberg. He's another guy in Canada, does really great training. Also kind of comes from that Mike Boyle tree a little bit. I like to, I was, like I mentioned, at the Altus conference, and you know, track and field, it's not something I really have much experience with at all, but I really enjoy listening to Stu McMillan and Dan Pfaff, the two guys. They have great, speaking of philosophy, motivation, psychology, especially Dan Pfaff, he has a really great insights there. I enjoy so many different people. I'm trying to think of others. One guy I'll give a shout out to, even though he doesn't put out a lot of content, is the head of performance for the LA Kings, Matt Price. He's I was
reading some things.
You can find things of his. If you have a chance to see him speak live, though, I highly recommend it because he challenges a lot of conventions inside of hockey and preparation there that I think are worth challenging, and with the data and the experience to back it up. So I enjoy that. I'm trying to think books I read recently.
Can you recommend us some books that you that had like lots of influence on you? So the Mike Boyle, okay?
Definitely.
But can you suggest some other books?
So, you know, I think,
or the names, okay? We have Charles Poliquin. Maybe Dan John, Paul Cheh, or somebody like that.
Poliquin's books are really good, I think, for learning really fun
principles and everything.
Principles, but also like fun little workouts. You know what I mean? Because a lot of a lot of people will write books on theory, and that's very important because I'm the one telling you right here that you should read that. But sometimes it helps to see what people are doing. That's why seminars are good, because then you can go and train and do it. However, you know, what's his name wrote a really fun book about this many years ago. Josh Bryant. He wrote a book called, like the Metroflex, like Chronicles or something.
I didn't read it, but
and it was an older book, but it's like before all his Jailhouse Strong books, and it's just a lot of power building workouts. So it's workouts with a lot of accessories, barbell movements. Some are really hard and crazy, and some you can scale down, but you get an idea of how that guy trains. That's a fun. That's like a fun one. But on the total opposite end of the spectrum, you know, you mentioned Paul Cheh. His book was very influential on me early in my career, How to Eat, Move, and Be Healthy.
Be healthy, but also the movement matters. The other.
Something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah. But you know, How to Eat, Move, and Be Healthy was big for me because, you know, we didn't talk about this, and people take this for granted now. And people used to give me a lot of crap about this.
He was doing like holistic approach, or like everything. Yeah.
So on my website, even 10 years ago, you could have seen, you know, that I used to say great performance comes from great health.
Yeah.
And people used to say that's not true. Great performers, they're not healthy. They do this and they max out. And I'm like, yeah, some of them. But now everyone has done a total 180 and they're obsessed with their health because they're seeing the same things I saw and that Paul Cheh saw before me.
Yeah.
And that's why it was very validating and helpful to read a book, even though I think some of his observations are timeless. I think some of the methods of like the exercise in the book wouldn't apply so well.
Yes, he was doing also with football lots of things. I was watching some videos, but the smaller book was movement that matters. It was like he was explaining the functional training and movement, but this how to move it and be healthy. I was also reading 2 times because I didn't understand some things because he was talking about chiropractic, about some other things. So I was like,
and just about basic things about you know your
food, energy, anything.
Your rest. He had the whole concept of working in. And we used to use that a lot with people. We would say that because you know you go and work out. You're taking away energy. You went and trained. It's like it beats you down. Well, now you have to go do things that replenish.
Recharge,
because otherwise what you did during your workout doesn't doesn't really matter because you can't show it. That's another Poliquanism. He used to say fatigue masks fitness. So if you're really fatigued, you can never show how strong or fit you are. And the longer you work with athletes, like I know you know this, is like you see the days they're really strong, you know what they're capable of. So a lot of what I try to do with people is always make sure we understand what season they're in. Like,
of course, you
need to
take periodization in account.
We need to beat you down a little now, but now we need to know when to take off the gas. And some people, they get a little annoyed with me sometimes, athletes and clients, because I'll really take my foot off the gas with them. And they're like, should I be doing a workout today? Like if we're doing something remotely? And I'm like, no, that's, you need to recover.
Also, when you're working with athletes, you need to do tapering.
Yes.
Pick the best results in the best time. So it's not easy. Do you have some like people that you work, like physiotherapists, like some people that you work together? So for example, if somebody comes to you and has problem with the low back, do you have some physiotherapists that you have sent people or they send to you? You said like Bianca is doing the nutrition part. So do we have some physical therapists or some other
we have
members of the team?
Yeah, we have two. They're not official members of the team, but they're close friends and colleagues that two different physical therapists I send people to. One I mentioned earlier was the guy I worked in conjunction with for a long time, Dr. Peter Wong. The other guy, the other person we send people to is her name's Evelyn Herrera, Dr. Evelyn Herrera. So we work closely with both of them.
Okay, that's nice.
So we send athletes both ways. I think.
So you covered everything,
Yeah. So we try. Yeah, I mean, I think it's important because if you're not healthy, like I said before, injury is the number one reason you're not going to make it. So, so I want to keep people healthy. So I usually send those are the two. I think between the nutrition and that, it covers a lot. But I will say the nutrition, it's something, you and I have always known. Everyone knows inherently, like in their heart, that nutrition is important. Yeah. But until we implemented it about a year ago, full time, that when people come to the gym, that the nutrition, whether or not they continue on with it, they talk to Bianca first. Right after me, they go to Bianca or whoever the trainer is. They're always talking to her, and they're always making sure we're always making sure we understand where they are nutritionally. Before, it's like people would tell us stuff, and we didn't really know, like, because people are really bad about giving you the truth about their nutrition.
Yeah, people are lying a little bit, but not on purpose. They're lying because they want to lie. I'm eating clean.
Yes,
but you're actually not eating clean. You think you are eating clean, or I'm practicing regularly.
Yeah,
in the end, it's not regular.
No, so we get at least a better image of how people are eating early on, and then we can make recommendations. So it's even helpful for me, even if we're not counting or giving them macros. Like if I know that this person is maybe struggles with nighttime eating, in a session I might ask them, just between sets, be like, hey, did like how's things been going, like with eating at night, or how have if someone says to me, I used to order Chinese food at 11 p.m. They're like, but now I have yogurt and berries. I'm like, hey, that's good, because in the back of my head I knew, hey, this person's really struggled with nighttime eating, and so you can give them props for that. And then
you're doing like change for life. You're changing their life habits. It's not just training. So you want to teach them how to sleep, how to take enough water, how to eat. Absolutely. And everything. So it's like changing of lifestyle. I think this is like you said, longevity, anti-aging, and everything.
Yes.
So I will ask you one last question, because you need to relax today, maybe to go to American top team to jiu-jitsu training. Yeah. So what's your plan or your goals in this year, next year, maybe in 5 years, 10 years? What is your the goal? What's your dream? In what directions are you going? Maybe more athletes, more recreational people, bigger facility, or what's your goal?
I have a few I think about. It was always been important to me to have goals because it gives you a vision to work towards.
You need to have a plan.
Yes, and the times I felt worst in my life were when I didn't have a goal, because I didn't really know what I was. I couldn't visualize. So I'm big on being able to sort of see it, because if I can see it, I can make steps towards it. So I as a business owner, that's where I put a lot of my effort right now, and is making sure that the trainers that work for me are, happy and are able to, be very busy, and bring on a few more like over time to really like max out.
Yeah, so you need to find the right person and to do onboarding of the coaches. Yeah, like you are doing with the clients, you need to do the same process with your coaches. Yeah.
So that's a big goal of mine, is to really spend some time in the next like 1 to 2 years to like get much better at that. Yeah. And we have been, we've made a lot of mistakes, but we've also done a lot.
Yeah, it's also different skills. The coaching skill is one. When you become self-employed is different. When you become the gym owner, then you need to find the new skills.
Yes, absolutely.
So you want to make a team bigger?
To grow the team a little bit more. I don't necessarily, maybe it's a New York thing, but I don't necessarily look for more space as being it's an indicator that we're doing well, but it's not the goal. Like, if we're probably going to need to do that if things keep going this way, and that would be good. But as a coach, and I like how you separated them, because that's how I know you're a coach too. Is that as a coach, though, I want to keep quality. Yeah, I want to make sure. I'm always spending time on my education, and I think at some point that would be more of I would probably put more of a 10-year goal on that. I'd like to go back and do master's work with the right faculty, or maybe something beyond that, like in that setting for a higher college degree. But also as a coach, with athletes, working more in sports like hockey that I enjoy.
I understand. I also like strength and conditioning, athletic performances.
Yeah. I mean, I'm very grateful for all the combat athletes. I want to keep doing that. I want to keep working with them. But I've done a lot especially grappling. Like I've worked at just about every level of grappling. And I have a few goals still there, but I feel very content with that like my knowledge and method, can help people, and I want to keep helping people. But in that field, it's more about them. Like, I want them to get to the world championship. I want them to get to the Olympics, in jiu-jitsu world championships, ADCC, CJI now. I've done all of these, and I'm very grateful that people have brought me along for those journeys. But it's about them. But if it's for me personally, I want to keep growing our roster with hockey, which we started this year, which has been really cool. It's been really fun to talk to hockey players again. I want to keep doing that. That's more of a personal coaching thing. Yeah. I want to host more seminars. I want to have more people out to my gym, and that can be any time frame. That was really great. We just did one with Matt Winning, and things like that, just to keep learning. But I think I have some ones that are more personal that I wouldn't share publicly. But they're all on.
But also, you have if you want to build a family, also. Then you need to have like a balance between the business and the family and everything. So things a little bit change when you're 22 and you are alone. Is different. You are single. It's different than when you're 40 and you have wife and 2 kids.
Right.
So everything is changing. But these business plans are good because you like to do something that it's not just only business. Okay, I make money with ordinary people, but I also. I'm helping them, I'm enjoying, but also I'm enjoying more with athletes.
Right.
So you want to build the one thing and the other thing. So I think it's very important for the coach, because some coaches they are working okay. It's okay. I have clients, I make money, and that's that. But I think that's not the purpose. You need to to build for you to become the better coach, like you said, education, but also to pursue your dreams. Okay, if I want to work in ice hockey, I want to feel that energy and that result. So this is good that you are coming back to the ice hockey.
It is. It's I appreciate that. A big part of it as well too is I think there's a dynamic in team sports that's not in individual sports. And I know you would know this.
I know that.
Yeah, because with where you're working tennis and so much of combat sports, it's individual athletes.
It's individual.
But even though that's technically a team, it's still they're the only ones in there. But when you're with team sports and you're doing things, with this goal greater than just you and just that person, it's a different energy. And I enjoy that right now. And I think, it's okay to kind of just go with the flow and sort of feel what feels important to you and fun. And there's something to that I really enjoy. So that's why I'm looking forward to.
I think you're on the right way, because I had some great moments with the teams that I work like football, you call it soccer, and also with the tennis players. So it's like a different way, but this team energy is totally different. You need to feel it. So it's good for you, because you did one chapter with this combat guys, but now for the team it's totally different. But I think you will enjoy.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Yeah.
Would you like to change the place that you live, or you'll stay forever in New York?
I don't really like to think in terms of forever.
Yeah,
I like where I'm at right now. In the foreseeable future, I'll be there. I mean, I joke around sometimes with people, and I say I don't know if it's a place I want to get old in, but I have no plans of leaving anytime soon.
Yeah, because you never know. Because when you are working with a team, you never know when you can go. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. So it's I think sometimes people, when they come to New York, they think of Manhattan. Crazy.
It's like that. I'm thinking about Manhattan. Yeah.
But we live in Brooklyn. It's much quieter. It's not. Of course. It's not like Manhattan. It's we have a nice little backyard. I can go drive 20 minutes south and play golf.
That's good. So you made the time for yourself. How many times per week you train yourself?
I aim for 4. So I never do less than 3. But I follow a very similar split that I.
Strength training,
Strength training,
plus jiu-jitsu.
Plus jiu-jitsu. So
it's like 6, 7 times.
Jiu-jitsu, I go 3 times as long as I'm in town. So I'll train 3 times a week jiu-jitsu, 4 times lifting.
So it's like 7 times per week.
One day I double up. So on Mondays I usually do both, but the rest of the week it's just one or the other.
It's good, yeah.
And then I still have time for clients and other things. I get a little full sometimes, but it's fun.
So you are in good shape, 7 trainings per week. That's good, yeah.
I think it's important to not just you as a business, but just there is an example that you lead and set as a coach, and number one, I enjoy it, and number 2, it's like it makes me feel good, but of course, beyond that, that's what I want to model to them.
Yes, lead from the front. That's one thing, and the other thing is you have more energy for your clients, because if you are like this, you won't work with them. And the nutrition, you can arrange everything.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I prep most of my meals at home, so I eat breakfast at home. Lunch I always bring with me. Like I said, unless I'm traveling, dinner is always going to be something we made, or there's the options.
So no Krispy Kreme.
No.
Donuts.
Not often, at least. Yeah. No, actually, I know you guys were talking about that the other day. There's so many good donuts that they're not even my favorite.
When you want to enjoy, then there's not good donuts.
No,
it's like Cheesecake Factory. So it's
I think in New York it would be pizza, because you get so many good pizza places. So that's what I enjoy. But yeah, it's been. I keep it together. Nutrition, I have too weak of a constitution to slack off with that. Okay. If I'm like eating really poorly, I feel it within.
Yes, of course. Everybody, it's a fuel. Food is a fuel.
Yeah, so I can't not. So I have to. I keep on it.
Yeah, like Jay Cutler, the bodybuilder, says, food taste. It's just a fuel.
Yeah.
I forgot about the taste. He's not thinking about the taste. It's just a fuel. So.
That's why he's one of the best ever, though, because he can do that. He can compartmentalize.
Unbelievable.
Yeah,
fuel.
Absolutely.
So I always remember when I'm eating something, okay, he said it's just a fuel.
It's just fuel, yeah.
It's just fuel.
As utility.
So we came to the end. Thank you, Mark, for coming to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
I hope that we gave lots of good informations. Because the goal of this podcast is to share information, and especially for the young coaches to see what the real coaches are doing. It's not just like you said, theoretical part, like some information, some books. I also like more to talk with the people who actually are doing trainings with the athletes, with the recreational people, have their own studios or gyms. So we can share more knowledge like that, because you won't find some problems in the books. You won't find some solutions. You need to read these books. You need to go to university. Everything that's good. But if you have some mentor, or if you have some time that you can go to visit some gym, I think with experience you can you can double your time. So in 1 year, you can learn more from the guys like Mark, some other coaches, and then on some other ways. So thank you for watching, and I hope you had a great time.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.